Hello everyone, welcome back. Yanni Plays here, and today we are going to start with our very first walk animation. The skin we're using today is from Loey Cool. Loey plays on the Infinite Realm server, and he was somebody that submitted his name to be featured in one of those tutorial videos. Now, before we get started with anything, make sure that your cursor is all the way at 0. Blender as standard sets it to 1 if you start animating, but make sure that we are down at 0. And then set the start at 0 and the end frame at 23. So that means that we are having a 24 frame long cycle. And then of course at the end we are going to copy and duplicate that to whatever length we need it to. Then we are also going to opening up a second window over here. And then this one here, we are going to display the dope sheet. And the dope sheet is going to help us change a few things, and it's going to help us select and move things around to the way where we need them. Now back on our main viewport, we are hitting numpad 3. Numpad 3 is going to give us this beautiful side view so that we can start our walk cycle. Now, the first thing that we are going to set up is we are setting up our contact pose. The contact pose is pretty much your in-between step where one leg is forward and one leg is back. So for that, let's turn on our auto keyframe. And then we select one of those legs here and we hit G and we are pulling it slightly back, not too much, but like that. Then we select the front foot and pull the right foot to the front. And here, don't go too much forward because now you can see the leg is overextended. So just about where we still have a little bit bent in our knees. Also later on, we're actually going to bob down a little bit so that it's going to help out in this step. Now that those two positions are in, and you can see it positioned our keyframes here because we have the auto keyframe on, we are going to rotate our hip just a little bit. So we click on a hip, rotate, and I'm rotating it around the Z axis. We're just rotating it slightly so that the right side where the foot is forward is rotated front a little bit. Next, let's move our arms. And if you walk, your arms, they always go opposite. So your right foot is forward. So that means your left arm is forward. So we rotate that up a little bit. And then we rotate this one back. And we're not rotating in the back too much. And then, of course, we are also changing our forearm a little bit. And right now we're just doing a lot of the rough setup. Some of those keyframes we are going to change later on to make everything look a little bit more natural. Beautiful. Now that we have all of those set up, let's go into the in-between. So that will be keyframe 12. And in keyframe 12, we are trying to mirror so that we have exactly the same, just the opposite way around. That means we are grabbing this foot here, click G, and we move that this one is exactly at the same place. And then we grab our other foot and put it up where we need it. Now here you can use your up and down keys on your keyboard to move between those two frames. As you can see, my 0 frame is forward just a little bit, and I'm actually going to pull this one back. It's a small little bit. And now we're setting everything else up. We are going on to the hip. And now you can see that the hip is moved. It also changed our foot a little bit, but now we are almost perfect. And then of course, we also need to move our arms back again. Perfect. So now that we have our two positions, let's go ahead and loop them. So for that, we are going over into our dope sheet and make sure that everything is white. So if we have some of them yellow, just click somewhere to make sure that all of them are white. And then you just draw a box around all the ones at frame 0. And we hit Shift D and pull them over to frame 23. Now to see what frame you're at, keep an eye up here in this area. I'm going to Shift D again so that you can see what frame we're at. Currently now, since we're moving it back, it tells us that we're 3 frames back, and now we are like 8 frames ahead. So now we have our very basic shuffling. And we can start making everything look a little bit more like a walk than a shuffle. Now let's go ahead and select your front leg, and then we go up here and we are changing over to the graph editor. And you can see this wave here is the movement of our leg. And for this one here, we go onto the top of the bump. We click T, and then we're changing it to linear. Okay. Then while we're still in here, we click on a back leg. Click on the first one, T, and we also change that to linear. So that every time when the line goes down, it is linear, it is straight. You can see here, both of them now are linear. Now let's change everything from a shuffle more to a walk. So what we're going to do is we are changing to frame 2. And what you can do is you can just use your keyboard with left and right, and you can scroll through the different keyframes or to the different frames. They're not keyframes yet. Up and down will be between the different keyframes. So we're going to frame 2. And then we are going to work on our front leg. So what we're going to do here is our front foot, we are going to flatten to the ground. That is when we are stepping down and start moving our weight to the front foot. And to make sure that we're not overextending the leg, we're actually going to lower the whole body a little bit. We'll select the body, and we're just going to move it down a little bit. And the nice thing with this rig is that it actually is automatically moving our foot down and put it into this foothold. And as you can see, if you go too far, it is going onto the front. So we're just pushing it down until we are level with the ground. Now, depending what rig you're using, you may have to lower it down a little bit and then rotate the foot that it is flat on the ground. Next, we're going to frame number 8. And at frame number 8, we are grabbing our body and we are moving it slightly up. And then we are going to rotate the foot, and we're just going to make that the leg is almost completely stretched. As you can see, when I rotate down here, now we're almost overextending, so we just go a little bit ahead of that. And we put it like that. And now we are going to duplicate the same for the other foot. And once we have both of those legs adjusted, let's play the animation and make sure that everything we did so far looks good. So now let's make sure that our character is actually picking up the feet a little bit. Now currently on frame 0, that's our contact frame. And here at frame 2, we're starting to put weight onto our front foot. So let's go one more. Then we lift up our foot just a small little bit. And let's look at it, making sure everything looks still natural. Go back to that frame 3 and we can actually lift it up a little bit more. And a lot of those things, depending on what rig you're using, they all work a little bit different. So it just takes a while to get used to it and to play around with it. So now, as you can see, we moved it up a little bit too much because now we have a little jerking motion there. So on here is where we're actually getting this jerking motion in. So let's go to our frame 23. Just smoothen that up a little bit. And now, of course, we have to take our 23 frames and copy them over to 0 again. All right, so now it's smoother. So let's go back to our foot again. We have contact, we have moved away to the front. And then in this keyframe here, gonna move it up a little bit. All right, so now that our character is moving his leg in the back on his blue leg, on his left leg, let's go and do the same on the other side. So here again, 12 is our contact. 2 more is putting the weight to the front, and 1 more. And we just move this up a little bit here. And here it's also important to say that every rig works a little bit different. Every rig has some different kinks. So sometimes you just have to play around with it a little bit and find out what works and what doesn't work. And now that we have everything set up, going to copy my file keyframes again. Because I have the feeling that one of the keyframes was off. So and now that we have a pretty okay-ish walk cycle, there are a lot of things that you still can tweak and move and change. So here at 0, our left arm is at the highest position. And here we're starting to slowly go back down with the arm. But if you move mass around, once the upper arm goes back, the energy that is stored in your lower arm still pushes your arm up a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this bone here. We're going again 2 frames after the arm starts to go back down. We're just moving it up a slight little bit. And then we are going here in between. Frame 12 is our highest position for the back arm. As you can see, it didn't change much, but there's just that slight little movement of the arm. And of course, things like that are completely optional. And of course, the same with the head. Give the head a little bit movement too. And that already brings us into the last part of this tutorial, where we're going from stationary to actually start walking down a line. First, let's make sure that we don't have any keyframes in front of the 0 and no keyframes after the 23. And then we can go and change this one. Now I'm just changing it back to the 250, the standard that Blender has for an animation. So now let's go ahead and select all of our keyframes, make sure that all of them are on. Shift D, and then we are just dragging them over so that the first frame lines up with our last one here. And now you can just press Shift R until the whole timeline is filled. As you can see, now we have a very long cycle. Now let's go ahead back to our very first frame. And now we select the whole rig. We hit I. And we do location, rotation, scale. Then we're going to our last frame that we have. We hit G on a rig. And we're just moving it along the y-axis. And you just move it out a little bit because we're going to have to adjust that anyways. And we're just zooming in one frame that we have, and we look, are we sliding? So we can see the foot sets down here. And we are sliding quite a bit. We're actually sliding forward. So that means our last frame that we set at 250 is too far ahead. Now you can see Our forward slide is not as bad anymore. We're still sliding. So again, back to 250 we go. Pull it back some more. And now I would say we're pretty good. So as you can see, we make contact here. We're staying in this position. And now we make contact in the front, lift up the back and move forward. And I was just about to end the video and then it started again. As you can see, we are slipping hard until we get traction here. But I bet if you paid attention during this tutorial, you already know what you have to do. You just have to, of course, go back into the pose mode. Select the plane, the main character, and then go over into the graph editor. And as you can see now, we don't slip anymore. And I hope that this tutorial here helped you getting your walk cycle going. If so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that next week you can see how we are going to do a run cycle. Thank you very much for watching and I see you at the next video. Goodbye.